Should I play a minor?
I think A minors will work fine.
A minor. How do you sing this one? I don't remember.
We're good? Breathing.
Breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. I am blooming as a flower. I am fresh as the dew. I am solid as a mountain. I am firm as the earth. I am free. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am water reflecting what is real, what is true, and I feel there is space deep inside of me. I am free.
Breathing in.
Breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. I am blooming as a flower. I am fresh as the dew. I am solid as a mountain. I am firm as the earth. I am free. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am water reflecting what is real, what is true, and I feel there is space deep inside of me. I am free, I am free, I am free.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Good morning, dear respected teacher, dear beloved community. Good morning to all of you. Today is Saturday, July 2nd, in the year 2022, and we are at Magnolia Grove Monastery in the Rising Tide Meditation Hall for the Wake Up Weekend. Yes. Okay, I'm going to change microphone because this one is not working well. Can you hear me okay with this one? Is better? Okay. This weekend, we come here to have fun, to sing, to enjoy our first ever vegan barbecue. Anyone here first time ever vegan barbecue? Right. And of course, to contemplate, to meditate, to enjoy silence, and to reflect on our joy and our suffering are one. I was sharing with some friends last night that only cool people spend July 4th weekend at the monastery. I think 13 million people are estimated to travel. Can you imagine what it's like at the airport right now? Or busy interstate in Los Angeles or New York City or Chicago or Houston? But in here, there are 50 young people, including 20 monastics. We are not stuck in traffic, right? We don't have to wait in long lines at the airport. Anyone here has toothache? No, right? If these conditions of happiness don't make us happy, what else? And we hope that you all rested well last night and you are ready to enjoy the full day with us here as we come to heal and also to celebrate our presence. My name is Sister Nghiem, Sister True Pearl, and my pronouns are she and her. So I was invited to give this Dharma talk on the theme, be spiritual, be engaged. May I ask how many of us here are activists? Can you raise your hand? Okay, there are quite a number of you. Anyone here healthcare professionals? Okay. What about working in the tech field? Tech field. Okay. Farmers? Oh, we have 2 farmers. Monastics? Monastics to be? Nobody. Great. Anyone here feel inspired to become monastic? Today I will share with you about the joy of being monastics, and I hope that this will inspire you one day to become like one of us. Because many people think that once we become monastics, we stop being an activist. But that is not true. We continue to be an activist, and we continue to be spiritual when we are in this form. As I was researching on how to be spiritual and be engaged at the same time, I read some articles, I listened to one Dharma talk, and then for the first time I heard of the word Slacktivism. Anyone here have heard that word before? Slacktivism? Which means it's the practice of supporting a political or social cause by means such as social media or online petitions, which does not involve a lot of effort or commitment. Let's say if you're on any social media platform, I won't call out the names, you know what they are, right? You can just like that post, retweet that post, That's called slacktivism. Or armchair activism, where you just sit there and you just click. That's very easy, right? Everybody, anybody can do that. And at times there are moments in our lives where we want to be more than that, than just sit in front of the computer and click on the post that we like to raise more awareness online. As you see, over there is the altar of our beloved teacher who passed away on January 22nd, January 20th, if I remember correctly, 2022. For many years, for most of his life, he was an activist. He continues to be an activist because all of us are his continuation, monastics or lay. As long as we continue to be aware of our breathing, be aware of the steps that we make, be aware of the food that we are chewing, we are continuing our teacher. So I like to use the present tense when I talk about Thầy instead of the past tense. So Thầy is still an activist because we are still here. It is indeed a very unique time that our country is experiencing, with many unfortunate events in the last couple of months, and the recent decision made by the Supreme Court that water seeds of fear in many of us, and we are uncertain about what the future will be like. Where are we heading? Do we have people that protect us? Do we know that we are safe? Many questions come up, and we don't have the answers for it at this very moment. And we recognize what is there. We become aware of it. If fear comes up, we know that fear is there. At the same time, we recognize the presence of 70 people who are sitting here peacefully, coming back to our breathing and supporting us through their compassionate gaze, their peaceful smile, and their silence. And of course, the wish for everybody in this room to be peaceful and happy. That is something that we can do at this moment. So I invite all of us to bring our mind back to the here and the now, to this meditation hall, to relax your whole body. And perhaps it's the first time that many of you come to Mississippi, right? Can you raise your hand? Wow. So it's like half of the group in here. And if it wasn't for Magnolia Grove Monastery, would you come to Mississippi? Perhaps not, right? So this is a reminder for us why we are here in Mississippi, to create opportunities for friends to come to a place that we learn the art of mindful living, to learn to fall in love with ourselves, How can we be comfortable when we are alone? Are we able to communicate with ourselves when nobody is around? And at times of difficulties, perhaps you will think about your stay here, and that can help you, that can save you, that can support you. When we first came here, a number of people asked, why did you choose Mississippi and not somewhere else? And some of us, we answer, we didn't choose Mississippi. Mississippi chose us. And I've been here for the last 12 years, and I've seen so many people come here to take refuge. Before they see Mississippi with a different lens. And perhaps now they see Mississippi in somewhat differently because of our presence. And so we thank you for your openness, for your non-fear to come to Magnolia Grove Monastery in Mississippi. And we hope that you will continue to come to see this place as your second home, as your refuge place, and that when you come here, you don't need to have any fear, that you feel safe, that you feel loved, that you feel belong, that you feel supported. And this is the aspiration of the monastics, of the friends that come here and practice with us. So next time when you think of Mississippi, we hope that you think of us. And send your peaceful healing and your love. So please know that we are here for you, because we know you are there for us. We are somewhat connected in a very spiritual and deep level than we ever think. Let us listen to one sound of the bell. When I was a young novice in 2006, I had a chance to help with the Vietnamese Plum Village website. And one day, our teacher shared with us this: my child, I will go to the US in the month of September. And when I come back, you may interview me. And you know how precious that is, to have an interview with our teacher? And he's the one who initiated it, that we didn't approach him and ask. So we were all so excited, and we would went around the monastery and ask the monastics, if there's one question you would like to ask Thầy, Thầy means teacher, what would it be? And we asked him questions like, the most difficult things you face as a monastic, and the biggest mistakes you ever made. Very personal questions, not like questions that you've seen other journalists or interviewer ask him, because we were his children. So just like how children would ask their parents questions. And so when he came home, we went to visit Thầy at his hermitage, and we gave him 21 questions. And when he looked at it, he wasn't very happy. He wasn't prepared to answer these personal questions. And they say that, when I say that you may interview me, what I meant was that you could ask me questions related to my trip to America. Because he came to America to meet the Dalai Lama to promote the film based on the book Old Path, White Clouds. But we didn't know. But you know, we say, dear Thầy, but we only have these questions. We didn't come up with any questions related to your trip. Could you please have some compassion for us and answer them? And then Thầy looked at us and looked at the questions again. And he sat there for 3 hours to answer all of our questions. We hope one day that his answer will be translated into English so you can have the reading of this. But one question that we asked Thầy in that interview is this. Thầy, you encountered many difficulties when you were young. Were you able to share it with someone, or did you keep it to yourself and transform it with your own practice? And this is part of Thay's answer. It was the young people that supported Thay. I was able to stand solidly thanks to them, because I never lost contact with the young people. And it's true. That's why Thay created the Wake Up movement as a way to stay in contact with young people. And for Thay, young people here means to be able to understand, to have the ability to change and have vision for the world. He went on to say, there are quite a number of young people that are quite old, not very open to change, not very open to learn, and doesn't have a vision. Thay, our teacher, was a spiritual teacher and at the same time a peace activist. What was it? What is it that helped him to continue to follow on that path until his last breath? And that today, we, his disciples, continue to walk on that path of spirituality and engagement. First of all, I'd like to ask you, what is your aspiration right now? What is your passion? What is your priority? If you come here because you want to learn to love yourself more, can you raise your hand? Mm-hmm. If you come here because you want to accept yourself for how you look, can you raise your hand? If you come here because you want to have more peace and happiness in your life, can you raise your hand? Everybody raise their hand. So we all have things in common. I cannot answer all these questions in one Dharma talk, right? But I hope that in other activities that you will be able to find answers to your questions. Since the theme of this Dharma talk is be spiritual, be engaged, I want us to take some moments to look deeply into the word spirituality. Anyone here, oftentimes you would look at random word on etymology? Yeah? Anyone here use etymology for your study or for your work? Can you raise your hand? Okay, only 2 people. All right. It's very interesting because all of us here speak English. And many times we think that we already have understanding of a certain word. But once we know the root meaning of it, it can even inspire us more to live by its meaning and not just know the meaning of the word. So when it comes to the word spirituality, are you able to see this in the back? No, right? What about in this color? Can you see okay? All right. So the word spirituality is from the word French, spiritualité, right? And this word, spiritualité, is derived from the late Latin word, spiritualitas. This is when we see the interbeing of it. Spiritualitas. And the word spiritualitas is a later version of the classical Latin word spiritualitas. And it's developed from the Latin word spiritus. Here's the interesting part. The meaning of spiritus is breathe, be alive. Do you know this? Breathe, be alive. One of the researchers say that spirituality is like breath of life. And in the Greek word of spirituality, it is this word, Benoma. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And this means spirit, mind, soul, and guess what? Breathing. Breathing. In the last couple of days, you have heard the monastics share a lot about coming back to our breathing and how closely that word is to the word spirituality. We need a breath. Our breath is there with us 24/7. And so we also want spirituality to be with us, always by your side. Being spiritual and spirituality are vital, are important, and they help with our existence, just like our breathing. And it's not too difficult to become spiritual like we think. What image come up when you think of someone who is spiritual? Sitting meditation? Standing? Or just me? Okay. But I'm not like this all the time in my daily life, right? Just ask my monastics. I'm not gentle or mindful like this. It's like I'm more like this when I give a Dharma talk because I know you are watching me. But in my daily life, there are times that I can talk very fast, especially when I have strong emotion, or I forget to follow my breathing when it's very hot in the kitchen, or I walk very fast because I give myself the excuse it's too hot in the sun to walk slowly. But there are moments in my life where I remember to come back to my breathing, and that's when I'm spiritual. As long as we remember to come back to the present moment, to be with our in-breath and our out-breath, at that time, we are a spiritual person. Whether if you are driving to work or to somewhere, and you see something, and right away you remember to enjoy it and to come back to your breathing, you're being spiritual. Or when you are sitting next to someone, and this person is filled with a lot of sadness and fear, you reach out to that person, and with their permission, you hold their hands. At that time, you are being spiritual, and at the same time, being engaged. So please don't think that engagement is only when we go to join the marches or the protest. If when we find ourselves thinking negatively about our own self, if we place our hand on our heart like this, or place our hand on our abdomen like this, and say to yourself, I am here for you. I know you are suffering. I'm here. Then at that time, you are spiritual, you are engaged. And then when there is a protest or a march, or you need to write a petition, or write a letter to your senator or to your Congress, There is peace inside of us. And we do all of this because of love, because of compassion, not because of hatred or out of great anger. So today I invite you to have more images when you hear the word be spiritual, not just in a sitting meditation form, but when you're able to walk and not being distracted with your phone, and you come back to your breathing, or you are able to hear the sound of the birds singing in the meditation hall or outside here, then at that time you are being spiritual. And to me, whenever we have that spirituality in us, we are already beautiful. We are already beautiful. So to become aware of our in-breath and of our out-breath. And when you hear the monastics or friends say the word breathing or the word breath, do you come back to your breathing right away? And how does that make you feel? Because when you go home, you won't have the bell invited, but you can use your phone. And when you hear that notification sound or the ringing of the phone, be spiritual, my friend. Come back to your breathing. Come back to your breath. And be present for whatever that is there. So spirituality is a breath of life. And many of us, you can only come to the monastery maybe once, twice, or 3 times a year. And if we think that the monastery is the only place that I can be spiritual, then what is the level of our spirituality during the day? Not much, right? So if at your workplace, where do you spend most of your time with? Is it at home? Is it at work? Then that's where we can be spiritual the most. So that when we are ready to go out and be engaged, then we remember what we have done in our daily life. If we are only eager to go and be engaged, to only do, and forget to be, then perhaps we will have compassion fatigue, right? Burnt out. And our love then will not be so strong enough to help us to do what we need to do, to help with the cause that is very close to us, to raise that awareness. When I first chose to become a monastic, I did not know that I need to learn about social issues. It is only the last 2 years or so that I started to become more aware. And because young people these days like you are very concerned about what is happening. Racial discrimination, gender discrimination. And I want to be young like you. I want to learn. And so I was able to learn, and I will continue to learn. And I know I will continue to make mistakes with my words, with my action, and with my thinking. But as long as I remind myself to be spiritual, to be alive, and to be present, then sooner or later, my thinking will change. So if you think that nothing is changing, please know that it's only partly right. Because there are many, many people who are doing their very best to help make things for the better in this country. But most of the times, these people are not in the news. Let us listen to one sound of the bell. Quite a number of you fill out the retreat survey and you share with us how unhappy you are because of your body image. So thank you for your honesty and your ability to open your heart to share, because this is something that more or less all of us have. I remember one time a young girl shared with me that it's difficult for her to leave the house without having makeup on. Perhaps she often spent her time on Instagram. She often looked at herself in the mirror and only see herself with makeup on. And pictures that are posted on Instagram, they look quite different, right? They had different fillers, different apps to make it look more beautiful. And that's why we like it. But then when she came to the monastery and she learned different ways to love herself, to practice telling herself, be beautiful, be yourself, and that you are the continuation of your ancestors and your parents. And also to learn to hug herself, to tell herself how much she loves herself, and that she wants to grow old with herself. Then slowly, she has more confidence not having to put makeup when leaving the house. I was once having complex about my height. I'm very short. And we have one brother that is shorter than me. And then one time I asked him, "Brother, do you ever have complex about your height?" And he said, "No. For me, it's very easy to be tall. I can stand on a ladder. I can stand on a stool. It's very easy." And this is a gift that my parents gave me. This is the best gift that I received from my parents, from my ancestors. And beauty, to me, I learned that it's not because of my height or because of no pimples on my face. To me, beauty is when I look at myself in the mirror and I tell myself, you are more than your height. You are more than your pimples. You are more than your flat nose. I know that you are compassionate and that you are practicing to be grateful for what you have and also to be grateful for what you don't have. Are you grateful that at this moment you don't have a toothache? What else that you don't have that you are grateful for? Can somebody answer? You don't have work. There you go. Anyone else? Excuse me? Starvation. We don't have starvation. And none of us here are having COVID right now, right? So please think about this, because this can also strengthen our spirituality. Most of the times we just sit and focus on the things that we don't have that make us suffer. But as mindfulness practitioner, we learn to think differently, to think on the things that we don't have that also make us happy. So there are ways that can help us to touch life and to love ourselves more. And one of that ways is to water the positive seeds. Because inside of us, we have 51 mental formations, we call them. Anger is one, compassion, joy, jealousy. If we want the positive seeds to be stronger in our daily life, we become aware of the food that we consume. And there are 4 kinds of food. The first one is the edible food. Second one is sense impression. Third one is volition. And fourth one is consciousness. Edible food are the food that we eat with our mouth. Anyone here vegetarian or vegan? Okay, aspire to eat less meat? There you go. Then you're heading in the right direction, right? Sense impression. The movies that we watch, the books that we read, the music that we listen to, and the conversation that we have, are they often water seeds of love and peace, or do they water more anger? Sometimes we just think food as through our mouth, but we don't see that our eyes, our nose, our ears, they also consume food. And with the phone always in our hand, it's so easy for us to consume more food every day, right? One of our friends last night shared with me the reason why she comes here is because to stop the stimulation of the phone that she has. Evolution is your aspiration. Your aspiration is now to learn to love yourself and to help others. And consciousness is to be with other people in the environment. How often are you surrounded by yourself with other mindfulness practitioners? So coming here is a way to water positive seeds. Or when you join local sanghas, or listen to Dharma talks, or to be surrounded with like-minded people that care about the issues that you care about, and help each other to go forward to help others. That's consciousness. Oftentimes we just focus on this edible food, but we don't focus on these three food. Please know that whatever it enters our mind, we cannot remove it, but we can transform it by thinking differently. Take a break. To love ourselves, we water positive seeds. Choose wisely what movies we choose, what books we are reading, who do we hang out with. And also take a break. Take a break from our phone. Do you know there are some people that spend more than 5 hours on their phone? And sometimes they spend 3 hours on watching TikTok or be on TikTok because they don't know what else to do in their life. And perhaps your age, you use your phone to work, right? You don't have time for entertainment, right? You don't have time to go on Instagram or to be on YouTube. Give yourself a break because this phone here makes us stay late at night. It's so stimulating. It's a type of addiction. And people who created this phone and these apps, they know how our mind works. And we think that we can control it, we can master it, but it's so difficult. So while you are here, it's very easy, right? While you're here, it's very easy. But when you go home, it might be difficult. But really make that commitment. When you have meals, put away your phone. Even these flies, it doesn't fly all the time. It's resting right now. Just like us as human, we can't just be on our phone and do things all the time. We need to rest, just like this fly. I can push this fly away. I can shake my hand with irritation, and this fly will go. But no, I choose not to. Just like when you caught yourself in your habit of using the phone, you don't need to say, "Oh, look at you, you're on your phone again. Put it down." You don't have to say that. You can just put it down, and then it will work. See, the fly flew off without me having to do anything. Please don't be so hard on yourself. In order for change to happen, it takes time. Just like social change. Change is happening, but it's like so slowly, and many of us, we feel that we don't have any more time to wait. Yes, that is true. That is true at times. Take a break from being inside. From being inside. Go outside. Invite your sadness to walk with you. Invite your depression to jog with you, or to enjoy a cup of tea with the ones that you love. Be outside as much as you can with nature. Do you know what I love about nature is this? Trees grow. We also grow physically. But do we have any pain when we grow? Do you remember? Physical pain? Not really much, right? From 5-year-old to 10-year-old, slowly, you grew taller, just like the tree. But when it comes to the mind, sometimes we experience so much suffering, and that helps us to grow. And being outside, being in nature, outdoor, at times it's so difficult just to be in our head, thinking about our suffering, the suffering out in the world, all the mass shootings, decisions that are being made by powerful people, one after another, that we know is perhaps not helping us. Take some moments during the day to pause all that and just be outdoor. Especially in the summer, especially in the seasons that you know the body can tolerate being outside, so that when winter comes, somehow, somewhat, we are healthy enough. Take a break from the negative thinking. If you often think negatively, can you raise your hand? Think negatively about yourself? Yeah. When was the last time you are grateful to yourself for the decisions that you've made in your life? When was the last time you are grateful to yourself for being there to someone in need? When was the last time you expressed your appreciation each time you meditate, each time you practice to sit still? When was the last time you decided to quit drugs, quit smoking, drink less alcohol, and change your life around? When was the last time you're grateful for yourself for getting the tattoo you have on your body? Being grateful to ourselves is the first step to being spiritual and to heal. When was the last time you were grateful to marry the person you love the most? Or the last time, instead of choosing meat, you chose vegetable to eat. See, all these little decisions that we make in our daily life, if we become grateful to them, then we are secreting happy hormones in our body. And this helps us to be more healthy so that we have enough energy to be engaged in the world. And when we talk about engage, we need to be engaged with the food that we eat. When there is this plate of food in front of us, have you ever thought of how long it took for this plate of food to be here in front of us? It would take us maybe only 20 minutes to eat that plate of food, right? But it would take years for that food to be here right now for us to eat. And perhaps hundreds and thousands of people, other resources come together for us to have that food. And so if we are engaged in the food that we eat, our mind is in the present moment, then this mind will not be so caught about what happened in the past or worry about what will happen in the future. If you look back at your life when you were 16 years old, and you had a vision for your future or fear about your future, how many percentage of those thoughts are true? 20%? 50%? 80%? When I was 16, I never had a thought that I would become a nun, that I would stand here and give Dharma talk, or that I would stay at the monastery in Mississippi. And that's when I learned not to think about the future anymore, because I really don't know what will happen. And I feel that at this present moment, there are so many things that I can enjoy, that I can do, and that I cannot do. And I accept that fact. I just learn to be spiritual, be engaged in whatever ways that I can. When friends come here, when I go out. And so when we talk about engagement, please be selective. Choose what is important for you, and not to be involved in so many things out there, because it can be overwhelming. I look at my teacher and I learn. He traveled the world to give teachings, to lead retreats, to write books, gave Dharma talks, and most importantly, how he lived his life as part of his activism. There are many forms of activism, but whatever form that might be, If we are unable to love ourselves, then we are unable to go very far. It is the love that we have for ourselves that saves us, that helps us to continue to walk on the path of service. For example, I know that here, my siblings love me, my teacher loves me. But that love is not enough for me. If I don't have love for myself, I will leave this place out of anger, out of pain, out of suffering. So my love for this place has to be here. My love for friends that come here has to be here in order for me to offer whatever I can. I may receive encouragements from others, but if that love in me is not there for you, then I'm not able to do it. So the love that you have for yourself, the love that you have for your aspiration must be there in order for us to be an impact in the world. So this negative thinking makes us wither over time. And we lose confidence in ourselves. Who will be in our coffin with us when we lay in there? Just us, right? Who is there with us 24/7 in our life? Just us. And if we don't say, I love you to this person more and more during the day, then if we say, I love you to the other person, will it help? And we don't know if we continue to be alive tomorrow, because these days is very unpredictable. Every night when I lay on my bed, I put the blanket over my head. I ask myself, I wonder who will be the first, who will be the last one to cover the blanket over my face. My last breath. I don't know. But if that happened to be me, the last person, I just want to let you know, I love you very much, and I care about you deeply. And when I say this, I say to myself, there's no need for embarrassment when we say to ourselves, I love you. And I encourage all the gentlemen, especially, to do this. Because our society is having this toxic masculinity. You know, as men, gotta be strong. Don't cry, don't show emotion. Because when you do, you are weak. No, my friend, cry if you need to. Express your feelings, your vulnerability. Tell yourself how much you appreciate yourself. Come back and be engaged with our feelings, our thoughts, and at the same time, not to let it drown us. Just like being aware of the suffering out there, but not to let it drown us. That's why we invite you to be aware of the wonders of life, the miracles of being alive, that your heart is beating. Once a week, twice a week, have sitting meditation with yourself or with others, or eat in silence to balance it, right? Keep things balanced. And this is part of the engagement. Like our teacher in the 1960s during the Vietnam War, even though a lot of work had to be done, but at least once a week, he would have a day of mindfulness. And he's a full-time practitioner. And he encouraged all his students to do that too. Let us listen to one sound of the bell. You see this bag I'm holding? It has the word no mud, no lotus. What do you think is inside? Can some of you guess? Lotus leaf. No mud, no lotus. So near the nunnery, we have a lotus pond. At this moment, I think only 3 lotus flowers. It's like that. Last year, there were a lot. This year, not a lot. Right? So, our teacher often asks us, can a lotus grow on marble? No, right? It can only grow on on mud. That's the same with our suffering. There's happiness in the suffering, and there's suffering in the happiness. However, we already have enough mud. We don't need any more mud. If somebody comes to you and say, I want to offer you more mud so you can have more lotus, just tell them, no, thank you, I have enough. What is wonderful about a lotus plant is this. There isn't a part of it that is useless. Even the stem, people make good use of it. As for the root, it's very delicious. As for the seed, you can use it to eat and to make sweet soup. As for the leaf, people use it to make hats. And at the monastery, we used to make tea. So my point is this. If you think you are useless, think of a lotus plant. There is not a single thing about a lotus plant that is useless. We are a person. There is nothing about us being a person that is useless. This pen has purpose. This mic has purpose. What makes us think that we don't have a purpose? We do have a purpose. And that is to love ourselves. That is to come back to the present moment and take care of ourselves. purpose. It doesn't have to be anything big. Our purpose can be waking up in the morning and know that we are alive. Even a lotus plant has purpose. The leaves can turn into tea. And this will be available in the bookshop if you want to taste what lotus leaf tea is like. So, dear friends, if we have the tendency to tell ourselves, you are useless, you don't have any purpose, please think again. And I want to end with this. After the murder of George Floyd in 2020, many people went to the street and marched, right, and asked for things to change in this country. And I look at this word very carefully. Protest has 2 syllables. You can divide them into 2 different words. Pro and test. When we go to the protest, it is an opportunity to test how professional we are. It is to test a practice of mindfulness in our daily life while at the protest. Are we being a pro at the protester? What energy are we putting there? At the protest, it is to test our compassion, a fierce compassion. It is to test a love for humanity. It is to test our patience. So we can practice to be a pro at protest. And we are not the only one condition that make things manifest. Let's say you have a car to drive to the protest or to a march. You need the gas. You need good health. You need other people, right? You are not the only condition to make this protest possible. However, you are the last condition to make it manifest meaningfully and peacefully or not. Just like when you have a plate of meal in front of you, you're not the only condition that make that plate of food available. But you are the last condition to make it beautifully or not. How we eat, how we appreciate it. And when someone comes and says something that is not very pleasant to hear, we are the last condition to make it manifest beautifully or not. And this is our choice to make. And this is the fruit of our practice, the fruit of us being spiritual and being engaged. There are many things happening in the world. War, climate change, mass shootings. At the same time, as young people, you share the freedom that you have to discover, to explore, the independence, the energy, the good health that you have. We can be aware of the suffering in the world, but please don't forget the happiness that we also have right here and right now. And that's what will sustain us. So please, today, sing, laugh, smile, have fun, share, open our hearts, and be lazy, but still show up for your mindful service family. And when you go home, please look for a local Sangha that Sister Nghiem shared last night. wkup.org, iamhome.org, and that know that we are here for you. At times when you are very tired and you just want to take a break, you don't know where to go, please come here. But email us before you come to make sure we're open. And at times you don't know what else to do in your life, and you want to strengthen your spirituality, you can become a monastic, even just for 5 years. And if you like it, stay for a lifetime. Or if you don't want to become a monastic yet, you can come here and stay long-term, like some of our friends here. Our long-term friends, can you raise your hand? See? And Charlotte very soon too, for 1 month. There are people that care about your happiness and your peace. And the people at the monastery are one of them. Thank you for listening. So dear friends, feel free to undo your legs, and we'd like to invite Parker to come up here to make some announcements.
Thank you, Sister, for the talk. Just a few announcements before lunch. We could use help setting up the meditation hall for our deep relaxation, which will be after lunch. So if the Joyful Jellyfish family and anyone else who is free could just stick around up front, the meditation team will show you how to set up. For everyone else, when you get up, please shake out your mats if you don't mind.